how can we make sure that strategic change is happening? I always say, think about what strategic change is. In the word strategic change, you have strategy. And strategy means to answer, how can I win? How will I be better than competition? And change means that you need to have your organization, your people, your team doing things differently. Whilst we know that people normally are pretty change resistant. So there are two things which I would put in the middle of the discussion. One is, what's your way to win? And two is, how can you influence your people? Now, we've developed a methodology which starts with this strategic intent. And we ask board of directors, CEOs, CEO staff teams to be very precise on their strategic intent. These people are responsible for strategy. They need to know how they're going to position themselves differently than their competition and how they're going to defend their competitive assets over time. So the first step is work with your top team and make sure that they express a clear strategic intent. Once you have this strategic intent, which is kind of the framework you're setting for your company, then comes people. How can I make sure the people that are impacted by a strategy become the change agents of the strategy? I believe, or we believe at Affinity, that it's of the utmost importance that the same people who are asked to implement the strategy become the architects of the strategy. We're talking about stakeholders. I'm not talking about everybody in the company. But if I want to impact my organization, I need to carefully think about who are the stakeholders that are going to make it happen. And right from the start, I have to bring them at my table, all of them, not one missing. And then apply the right methodology to make sure that people understand that there are different points of view in a company. If you're in sales, if you're in finance, if you're the CEO, if you're someone else, depending on your role, you'll have a different view on the company. So the first thing is to make sure that these people battle around the table and they understand what the collective truth is about the current situation, the as is, as we call it. Once this process has happened, make sure that people start to dream. They know your strategic framework. They know what kind of strategic direction you're setting and how you want to long-term beat your competition. But now let them dream what needs to be in place to make that happen. What does it mean for sales? What does it mean with regards to our customers? What does it mean in terms of logistics, production, whatever? Let them dream what you've said as the strategic intent. Once this dream has been described, ask them to set targets that need to be met in order to make sure that the vision, the dream, comes true. Now you know where you stand, you know measurably where you want to go. The rest is just deductive thinking. It's about, if I know where I am, if I know where I want to go, I just need an implementation strategy, how to go from A to B. And again, whilst you're developing these implementation strategies, it's important that the people who are going to be asked, who must put it in place, they're part of the game. Because if you have them around your table as the stakeholders in business, you have the best change agents you could possibly have in your company. Now we've talked about the strategic intent, we've talked about the development of the implementation strategies. And the third piece is really the implementation itself. Here you need leadership. if you're initiating a change process, a strategic change process, which is going to impact your whole company, don't hesitate. Be sure that you want it. And don't be surprised if there is a little bit of frustration whilst your organization goes through the valley of tears. Don't be surprised if for a short while, and you try to keep it as short as possible, your productivity goes down. Understand that this is the price you need to pay for change. So, leadership in the implementation is key. You've started that way, you've started that journey, and you take your organization through that journey. You either stand on the tracks or you're in the train. And where you're going is totally clear. In the implementation, of course, you need to apply project management, change management methodologies to make sure everybody knows what's going to happen, to make sure you're managing your processes, your milestones well, and you need people who are motivated. So talk to your people, make sure they understand where the journey is going. There are studies that say that more than 90% of all the effectively developed strategies are not put in place effectively. And this is disastrous. Whether it's 90% or 60%, it's still disastrous. So what we believe is, if you want to make change happen, make sure that you choose your team carefully at the start and you take them through the whole process as the owners of change.